14 years. You can accomplish a lot in 14 years. Get an education, start a family, travel the world. The possibilities are endless. For me, 14 years is 2 years less than my whole life, and the exact amount of time that I've been a dancer. Dance has always been a part of my life, but as I've grown older, the impact it's had on me has greatly increased. The more serious I became about it, the more passionate I became, the more my entire world began to revolve around it. It was all I talked about, all I thought about, all I did. My classmates were my best friends, my teachers were like my second mothers, and the studio was my second home. I wasn't until last season that I realized just how passionate I was about the sport, and that because of this, my expectations often exceed reality. There was a girl in my classes, Alexis. I've danced with her most of my life, but up until a few years ago, we never really interacted with each other. Over the years, though, many girls had left, dropped out, or transferred studios, and as quickly as I'd lost the friends I'd made, I began to make new ones. Alexis and I seemed to connect once we started talking more. We had a lot in common, and since I saw her almost every day at practice, it was natural for us to grow close. It wasn't long before the two of us were the best of friends, in class and in life. Everyone at the studio knew this, and at the start of the next dance season, my dance teacher asked us to do a duet. Not only did she want us to perform it in the recital, but she also asked if we wanted to choreograph the dance ourselves, which was a great honor. Alexis and I were over the moon. We dove right into the piece, immediately scheduling times to get together and choreograph, looking through costume books, trying to find the perfect outfit, and most importantly, we spent hours and hours trying to find the perfect song. It was also exciting for me, the responsibility, the opportunity, the amazing chance I was given to showcase my talent. There was nothing I wanted more than for the duet to be amazing. I expected nothing short of perfection. A little over halfway into the season, things started to take a turn for the worst. Alexis and I didn't have as much of the duet done as I'd hoped, and we were struggling to find time to work on it. It was now that I began to realize some things about Alexis that I hadn't noticed before. In the beginning, I was so captivated by the new idea of a best friend that I took no notice of anything negative about her. But now, with my stress level rising and the amount of pressure I put on myself becoming unbearably large, almost everything she did angered me. She constantly canceled. Even if it was 10 minutes beforehand, she would have an excuse to get out of practice. Half the time they didn't even make sense, and I knew she was lying. But I'm not one for confrontation, so I kept my feelings to myself. Eventually, it got so bad that I went to my dance teacher for advice. I didn't want to cause problems, but I didn't know what else to do to get Alexis to commit to the dance. My dance teacher sent out an email that night expressing her concern about the duet and the lack of commitment, and I figured Alexis would understand and work hard to finish the dance with me. Oh, how I was wrong. Horrid emails were sent back from Alexis and her mother to my dance teacher and I. I swear they came at us like a starving lion chasing after its prey. Things were bad for a while, classes were awkward, people were constantly fighting, but it wasn't until one night after class, when I started bawling my eyes out in front of all my dance teachers, Alexis, her parents, and my parents, that I realized maybe this whole thing was my fault. It was after class on a Monday, around 9 o'clock. It was raining outside and impossibly dark. I remember walking to the front of the studio, bags in hand, ready to go home, longing to feel my head hit the pillow. When I got to the front hall, everything was weird. All my teachers were there, along with Alexis and her mom. They said they wanted to talk about some things to do with the duet. I didn't really have much of a choice, so I said okay. The room was silent, awkwardness filling the air. The only noise heard was the occasional car passing by the front entrance. Conversation finally started, but what was said isn't all that important. It was when I came to terms with the fact that things had come to this point, that everything became too much. I could feel the tears starting to form in my eyes, that itch I get in my nose before I start to cry. Someone turned to me and asked me a question, but I couldn't hold it any longer. I lost it. Completely bawled my eyes out in front of everyone. I was humiliated, to say the least. And I don't think anyone was as shocked as I was, but it was then that I realized something I'd never thought about before. Maybe if I didn't care so much about the dance, I wouldn't have put so much pressure on Alexis to get it done. Maybe if my expectations for the dance weren't so high, things would have gone smoother. And maybe if my expectations for the dance, or if my expectations for myself weren't so unreasonable, I would be content with a little less than perfect. And that was it. The only thing that ruined the duet that year was me. Things eventually settled down, apologies were spoken, amends were made, and the duet was finished. It didn't turn out nearly as good as I'd hoped, but I was stupid to think that it would be as amazing as I wanted it to be. Alexis and I were talking again, but both of us knew there was things that would be said that would never be forgotten. The recital came and the season ended, although I can't say I was all that disappointed. I needed a break from it all, which was an odd feeling for me. I went from loving something so much to feeling almost nothing towards it anymore. It's kind of like a fire at the end of a night that's just about burned out. Maybe somewhere down the road there'll be a spark that lights it again, but for now all that's left is the burning ashes. And now it's the 14th year. The 14th year of the thing I used to love so much, the 14th recital that I used to get so excited for, the 14th season of my life as a dancer, and I couldn't be less enthusiastic about it. I'm too afraid of letting myself get my hopes up again, too afraid of once again being let down and disappointed. This experience taught me that not only in dance, but in life, my expectations often exceed reality, and that if I do expect too much, the chances of me fulfilling them is slim, and I'm just setting myself up for disappointment. I try now to understand this, and be more practical when setting goals for myself. I know that in the long run, I will be happier and much more satisfied than if I only expect perfection.